Just before I turned this on, I heard a saw. So if there is a lot of background noise, hopefully not. The camera hopefully shouldn't pick it up, but if that saw starts up again, oh boy. Anywho, hi Shell, and hello to all the other wonderful weirdos watching. So, I'm going to attempt a double whammy this weekend to make up for not uploading last weekend, just because I do want to keep on top of the schedule I've set for myself. So hope you're getting a both Saturday and a Sunday, just because. Hopefully, anyways. I don't know if I'm going to achieve it. I struggled to achieve it last week, despite finishing the story, because of extreme noise from upstairs all day. Yeah. Even though I was ready to go, couldn't get it in time. Thank you so much. Anyways, so double whammy this weekend. The Lives of Poets. There it is. I'm just going to continue. So we start off with a nosebleed with our protagonist on the floor. Just she's never had a nosebleed before apparently, and so she has no idea to pinch her nose. So she's literally got a washcloth and has an image going to the ice cube vending machine. She's basically nervous, and it's just one of the effects that seem to have happened while she's being extra nervous for having to speak, and it's just one of the side effects that she has. And it has been manifested itself in different forms every time she has to speak, and so she doesn't like speaking because she has that stage fright. She doesn't like the act itself, but we follow her kind of going through the motions of getting ready for this event whilst also looking back. There's always a looking back segment in these in Atwood stories. I don't know, it kind of feels a little. It would be nice if we could get a break from the pattern. Like, it is seemingly a pattern that I'm noticing is we are in one spot because it seems to be a great opener, and then we look back to how we got there, and then we arrive back to the present to go and do the thing that it's supposed to be is what the thing is all about. But the whole premise of this story is in the bulk of the looking back, because as she's lying on the floor with the nosebleed, she's supposed to be phoning her husband. And once again, we have the very signature Margaret Atwood, they should not have gotten married. Again, a pattern I'm getting a little bored of. I'm just bored. So bored. We get it, Margaret. You don't like marriage. It's fine. Just leave. Are you seriously working through your own stuff here? I don't know much about Margaret Atwood besides she wrote The Handmaid's Tale, and she's quite a significant feminist writer, but that's about it, all I know. So I have no idea if she is just using these short stories to work through her own stuff, or it's what she's been observing in other people, or it's her just opinions on marriage, and that's why she's never. I don't know Margaret Atwood all that much, so. But I'm getting quite a picture that she doesn't like marriage. These couples do not go well together. So she's supposed to be phoning him up just to like say she's arrived, etc. And just the typical to calm her down before she goes to speak. And so we go to the flashback of their setup, their situation. He's an artist, she's a writer, and she writes these poems, but she's been the primary breadwinner in their current household because of all of the speaking events. She's got a grant. He did have a grant, but it fell through. I can't remember if it was because he was a student and he dropped out. I generally have lost that detail of the story. Um, but what is significant is that she's lent him some money to keep going, and she doesn't want to be the person to press him on paying her back because they halve everything: the rent, the bills, the food. They half everything, even split, and so there is the promise of being paid back. So we've got another addition to this: is her spark for writing is dwindling. She spends a lot of time in bed, and so while she used to be a morning person, she would get up before he did. Have I forgotten the names of everybody in this story? Yes. Yes, I have. I was doing so well. Oh yeah. Try remembering people's names. And now I can't even be bothered to look this up because I am so bored with this short story collection, but I'm so close to the end. It's got the familiar pattern and the familiar setup. It is interesting the different scenarios that she's coming up with, though. That's this is about like creative spark, and basically she's been becoming more of a bed slob just because she doesn't have the motivation. She hasn't been writing as much, even though she he thinks that she's been writing and working all this time just whilst he's at the gallery, even though he spends less time painting. He spent more time doing one painting of her sat at the kitchen table writing, but hasn't touched that in a while because they keep on having meetings about how to have galleries, etc. They seem to always have these students round drinking coffee from plastic cups, um, instead of doing actual art. As an ex-art student, there's not much point. There's not much creation of art, but more of a discussion on art in these unis. It's very weird. Spend more time discussing a piece than doing a piece, and I don't know. That was kind of like my main gripe with the art uni I went to, is I didn't get a chance to fall in love with the art itself because I had to come up with something to talk about for so long. With the art gallery comes somebody whose name begins with M. Yes, I really have forgotten everybody's name. I don't really care at this point. It's like a copy paster. When I say copy paste, I mean the flashback thing has the bulk of the story, and it's always about marriage and how they really should not have gotten this far. And so we have this third person in the story who, well, she's basically posing as a friend. Even I could see it coming. I was even predicting it in previous stories that, oh, it's all about cheating. Because I think it was like the one with the travel columnist that he loves it when she's traveling. And I was just like, yeah, probably for a good reason of bringing somebody else over. That's where I keep expecting the stories to go. And finally, you know, he likes sending her away so she can make the money whilst also entertaining this other woman who bloody well is trying to pose as her friend as well. Oh my god. She's also quite upper class dressed. It's one of our protagonist's observations is that she's always like proper dressed, like sharp, etc., and put together. Whereas when she comes to pick up, I think a file of a notebook, she came to pick up a notebook that he forgot from to bring to the gallery, and because she works as publicity, like how to get like advertise the galleries, etc. That's what she does. That's why she works closely with the husband. Obviously, that's her in. Um, and so our protagonist is like having this inner monologue about how she's got this one woman in her flat and she's just rummaging through his clothes on the floor, feeling a little guilty that they're on the floor, but he dropped them there, so it's not on her, it's on him. Which finally, yes, it is on him for not picking it up. My god. Sometimes you read a lot about people housekeeping and it's somebody not cleaning up after somebody else, and it's like, no, 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 that person needs to clean up. That it's the person who dropped it. Yeah, I never understand that in people's reasonings, but in here it's finally put in a thought pattern. Great. And but at the same time we get the continuation of this woman in my house right now is looking around, kind of like casing the joint, looking at the competition. She literally onto her, paranoid about this woman in her husband's life, and rightly so, rightly so. Oh my goodness. So we then move on. Apparently she ended up staying for coffee even though she asked, but in a way and trying to have a tone saying, please don't accept the coffee, just go. It's like, yeah, I really don't want to serve you coffee, but would you like some? But yeah, she was looking around the kitchen even whilst they were drinking coffee. And yeah, it was just like this whole look back on the whole situation with this other person who is trying to be friend with them both. I'm assuming the motivation there is to make it so it's more reasonable that she's there because she's a friend of the couple, and therefore suspicion shouldn't be warranted, etc. Maybe. But when our protagonist returns to the present and she's finally got the nosebleed to stop, she is phoning up the husband so that he can know that she's there, and basically the calm down thing, to help her with the nerves of being on stage reading this poem. And also at the beginning there's this beautiful setup of maybe I should just bleed on stage with this nosebleed and have my poem be just unleash of blood. That'll give the board something to talk about. And so the setup was done really well with that. It's setting up this like rage because when she picks up the phone, he's not on the other end. She is. the woman who's supposed to be the friend helping advertise this gallery. No, because the reason she gives him is like, oh, he's away and won't be back for a few days. And he's saying, remember when you get back to remember to water the plant. But he asked me to be around to answer the phone for you. And then she believes that she heard on the phone him laughing in the background before she hung up. Yeah. So they're cheating while she's away. And then it returns back to going to unleash a female rage poem upon this audience to end and wrap up this little story. And I did enjoy the poetry exploration of how this is going to like accumulate in her poetry because she's had that slump, and how does she get this back, and how she herself was once the people asking her all of these questions, looking at her like she's a genius, even though she doesn't even realize, as like she didn't realize that there's nothing to it. She's just writing what is feeling natural to her, that she is just putting her thoughts down and then just going to speak it in front of an audience. And she doesn't understand how she got from looking up to somebody to being the person people are looking up to, and how she's struggling to maintain kind of like a false narrative of, oh yes, there's a slew of ideas in my head, even though she's struggling to come up with such ideas. And now she's got this thing from her story fueling her emotions. I just really would have loved to hear it. I just don't like how Margaret Atwood didn't give us any of the poetry. She gave us songs in previous ones, like I think it was, what was it, Grave of the Dead Poets? But I could have at least seen how, and I'm not sure if Margaret Atwood's good at poetry, but maybe add something to. I would have liked to like read some poetry, uh, just to, you know, if it's about poets, and I would have loved to have heard what came out at the end. I would have loved it. Just, but no. It's like she's on her way in the car after being picked up by the place who's hosting, and it's forming in her head, and that's all we get. And I'm just like, you're just gonna leave it there? Really? Really? I would have loved to have seen the fallout of this epic poetry that's building. But yeah, it didn't. I actually do want to see if, I mean, does Margaret Atwood write poetry? Again, I'm not clued into the literary space to know at all. Just don't criticize me for that. I work in retail, for crying out loud. I don't have much of a life or time to look things up. It's fine. But yeah, I would be interested in seeing if Margaret Atwood actually would put poetry in stories about poets. Or even just the attempt of writing poetry, since she's so stuck. That would have been quite nice. But yeah, it would have helped with the copy paste of the format as well as the marriage in trouble thing that we keep getting. But it's fine. I did enjoy it. I'm just bored. I'm just bored. I'm If I could just get something not about couples, that would be great. That would be so great. Oh boy. So yeah, that was this week's short story. Oh, I think this has been a quick one. It was a short. It was shorter than the previous ones that I cover. And it wasn't. I do want to have like more stories about people finding their creative pull to write or to paint or anything. I don't know, maybe that's why I enjoyed it a bit more than the others, but even so, that's fine. But yeah, anywho, bye, Shell. Bye to all the other wonderful weirdos watching.